Okay, we're going to start with the respiratory system, anatomy of the respiratory system. Obviously, the respiratory system has multiple different functions. As you can see here, gas exchange, right? It allows us to exchange the oxygen and carbon dioxide. Communication, it allows us to produce sounds, olfaction, we can smell. Acid-base balance, because we have a formula. And I already showed you that chemical reaction before. Blood pressure regulation, because it produces an enzyme that is necessary to increase the blood pressure. You have it right here, it's angiotensin 2. Blood and lymph flow, because it produces pressure in the thorax and it allows us to push the lymph and blood back up into the heart. Blood filtration, in case that you have a blood clot, it will get trapped in the lungs instead of being trapped in other areas that are smaller where it can cause more damage, such as in the eyes. Expulsion of abdominal contents. When you go to the toilet, you put pressure in the thorax. That helps the pressure in the abdomen to release the contents. So right here, you have the respiratory system. First part, you have the nose. This is the pharynx. This part right here is the larynx. This is the trachea. And from there, we have the lungs. So let's keep scrolling down. And we have in here the nose. The nose, it warms the air, right? Help us smell. It's composed of cartilage, as you can see right here, and also has some bones in there that separate, for example, the right side from the left side. And inside, we're going to have structures that you're going to see right here. These structures right here, they are called nasal conchae. When the air goes through the nose, this produces a turbulence, and it allows all the air to get in contact with the different areas that we have right here in our nose. Because in our nose, we have mucus in order to trap dust. And we have also hair in order to protect this area. So here's where the nose ends, and below that is this part. I said this is going to be the pharynx. You can see here they are actually painted in 3 colors. The top part is the nasopharynx behind your nose. The next part right here in pink is the oropharynx that is behind your mouth. And this part right here, laryngopharynx, is on top of your larynx. This is just a pathway for air as well as food to go down. Okay, if we scroll down, we said the pharynx. Okay, the pharynx has 3 parts. We already mentioned that: nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. After that, what continues is the larynx. The larynx is composed mainly of cartilages, as you can see right here. Obviously, it's not just cartilages. It has ligaments as well as muscles, and they all have different names. This big cartilage right here is the thyroid cartilage. This is what people usually call the Adam's apple. The main job of the larynx is to produce sounds, right, when we're going to talk, as well as block this area right here with the epiglottis so the food doesn't go into the respiratory system. So if we scroll down, I already mentioned some of the cartilages, and you can see those right here. So we said in the front we have the epiglottic cartilage, thyroid cartilage, as well as cricoid cartilage. In the back we have arytenoid cartilage, corniculate cartilage, and cuneiform cartilage. Usually these are sets of 2, the ones on the back. Okay, so let's keep scrolling down. Right there, you have the top part of the larynx. This part is called the glottis. Right here is the epiglottis. And you have in here a cartilage, which is the corniculate cartilage. This cartilage is going to be moved by the muscles that we have in this area, and that will adjust these vocal cords, and that will produce different sounds. Right here, you can also see the trachea, which is what continues after the larynx. The trachea is a pipe that allows the air to go down. But the bottom of that trachea is this part right here. This part is called the carina. The carina is going to separate into different pieces, which are going to be called the main bronchi. Each bronchi will go into each of the lungs. So we have 2 bronchi because we have 2 lungs. If we keep scrolling down, right here you have what I was telling you. The muscles will move the cartilage. The cartilage will adjust the aperture of the vocal cords, and that adjustment will allow us to produce different sounds. Down there is the trachea. So if we keep scrolling down, we're going to see the trachea. The trachea is just a windpipe that allows the air to go through. The trachea, as you can see here, is mainly cartilage. It's almost a complete cartilage, but it's not complete because the back has muscle. In addition to that, there is tissue here surrounding the trachea. And this tissue is going to have cells that are going to be ciliated, and it's going to have cells that are going to produce mucus. The reason for that is because in the trachea also we're going to trap dust that will come with the air. So I was telling you right here, you have goblet cells that produce mucus, and these are the ciliated cells that are going to sweep all this mucus with dust up in order to be cleaned from the trachea. Okay, let's keep scrolling down, and we get to the lungs and the bronchial tree. Right here, you can see that we have 2 lungs, the left lung and the right lung. The right lung has 2 lobes, you see 1 and 2, and the other one has 3, 1, 2, and 3. The main branches are going to be called main bronchi. The branches after that are going to be called secondary bronchi. And then after that, tertiary bronchi, bronchioles, and at the end, you're going to have the alveoli. If we scroll down, we're going to see in the alveoli. See, this is the lung. You can see here it has a whole bunch of holes. It looks like a sponge. You know, when you put a sponge in water, the water fills these spaces. In the case of the lung, these spaces are filled with oxygen. Right here you can clearly see these spaces, and in there is where the oxygen is going to be. Now, we also mentioned that one of the main jobs of the respiratory system is gas exchange, because we are going to exchange the gas that we're going to get here in the alveoli, which is going to be oxygen, with the gas that you're going to have right here in the red blood cell, which is going to be carbon dioxide, because this brings the carbon dioxide from the tissues. So if we keep scrolling down, we're going to have the alveoli right there. And the alveoli, it has two cells. One cell is called squamous or type 1 cell, and the other one is great alveolar cell or type 2. Most of the walls of the alveolar are provided by the squamous cells, but the great alveolar cells type 2 produce surfactant, as you can see right here. The alveoli must be open to allow the air to go in. What happens is, since in the air you have water may start accumulating here, eventually will produce the collapse of the alveoli, and you wouldn't be able to get oxygen in your lungs. The surfactant will maintain the alveoli open, will stop the collapsing of these alveoli walls, so we can continue gas exchange. And you can see here again, this is the alveoli, this is the red blood cell, and as I was telling you, gas exchange. You exchange carbon dioxide with oxygen. If we keep scrolling down, we're going to see something else, that we have a pleura. The pleura is a membrane that covers the lungs. Okay, the pleura is a serous membrane, therefore it has two layers. Right, one layer is going to be visceral pleura, and the other one is going to be the parietal pleura. Since it has two layers, you're going to have a cavity in between, which is the pleural cavity. The reason why you have this pleural cavity is because you're going to have a fluid. Why do you have this fluid, and what is the function of the pleura? As you can see right here, reduction of friction, creation of pressure gradient, so we can actually inhale and exhale, and compartmentalization, which is separation of the lungs from other organs that we have in the thoracic cavity.